Arab world. She's interviewed Col Gaddafi and indeed his son Saif al-Islam and has just returned from Tripoli and joins me now. Good morning to you. I just want to bring some breaking news actually, because I know you covered the Egypt uprising as well. Just hearing from the Reuters news agency that the Prime Minister Ahmed Shafiq has resigned and they've appointed a former Transport Minister, Ehsan Sharaf, to form a new government. This is coming from the army. I mean, all our eyes are on Libya, but of course Egypt is still an ongoing, well, not crisis perhaps, but certainly the handover is continuing.
Very much so, and what we're witnessing in Egypt is that effectively the Egyptians got rid of Mubarak, but the structure of his regime is still very much in place, and the country is still very much in the hands of a military dictatorship. And that is not good enough for the Egyptians. So we need to keep very close tabs on what's going on.
So the momentum is still there in Egypt?
Absolutely. We haven't seen anything of the promises that were made being delivered. The political prisoners, for example, haven't been released. They have been put in jail and tortured for all the wrong reasons. No constitutional changes have been made. We still have, parties who are banned, which are banned in Egypt, which will not be able to run for elections. So there hasn't been any significant change which would pave the way for democratic reforms in Egypt.
Now, turning to Libya and staying, if you like, with the issue of momentum, a very confusing picture as to what's going on, talks of attacks and then counterattacks and then regaining areas to the east. In terms of what's happening throughout the country, where do you think Col Gaddafi stands at the moment?
Well, I believe he's in a very strong position indeed. He has very loyal people around him, not least of all his special brigades, headed by his sons, but also segments of the military who are a part of his tribes and very supportive as well. He also relies on African mercenaries who are very well paid and very loyal to him indeed. He made sure over the years he was always distrustful of his own generals, fearing that he would be overthrown by a coup. And in that respect, he managed to secure various sections of the military as loyal supporters.
And in terms of what the West is saying, talk overnight from the United States that the no-fly zone, in their words, is really a no-go. Where do you think Col Gaddafi stands now with his relationship with the West? You could argue that David Cameron has perhaps, well, Col Gaddafi knows exactly where he's coming from now, and if Col Gaddafi stays on, there are problems for future.
It was very unwise for the US and indeed Britain to push initially for a no-fly zone area to be imposed over Libya, not least of all because it's a colonialist reflex, but also because Colonel Gaddafi is now capitalizing on that. It sounds very easy to impose a no-fly zone area. In fact, logistically, it means it will require to bomb all the military bases in Libya. It will imply to destroy all the radar installations and also to destroy the military air force in Libya. So it's effectively a declaration of war, and it's a hugely counterproductive move if that was imposed, because of course the Libyans do not want Libya to be another Iraq. And let's not forget that US warplanes were bombing Libya as recently as the 1990s. That's a dark reminder.
And are people underestimating the public support that Col Gaddafi has? We read about in papers, civil war and East against West. In terms of the population of Libya, what's the percentage that will still be supporting him?
Well, Libya is a huge country, 7 times the size of Britain, 6.5 million approximately. The vast majority are concentrated in Tripoli and in the west, precisely where Gaddafi loyalists are based. So not only he's got the vast majority of people behind him, but he's got the weapons. He has at his disposal a large stockpiles of weapons, a vast arsenal, and including chemical agents, which he will, I don't think he will hesitate to use if he were cornered, which is absolutely not the case at the moment. And more importantly, he's got the resources, he's got the money, and he's now delivering huge amounts of cash to people who are signing up to support him.
Let's talk about the man. You've interviewed him. He gave an interview to the BBC the other day, resulting in some calling him delusional, the Americans very much saying that he was completely out of touch. Is he delusional, or you're implying that he's actually playing a much cleverer game than that?
I think he's always come across as a bit of a joke figure. But in my opinion, you can't be that delusional if you manage to remain in power for 42 years. And he's very much playing a clever game. Of course he's in denial. He doesn't want to admit that sections of the Libyans or the population do not want him around anymore. But they do not have the means, they are not equipped to get rid of him, and he knows exactly what he wants, and he's determined to continue his own revolution, which he started in 1969.
Okay, well, it's fascinating to talk to you. Nabila Ramdani, thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure.